What's up and welcome to Games with Grant, the weekly video game show that's dedicated to giving you the top news, views, reviews, previews, opinions, features and more. I'm your host Grant Burton. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @the_Grant Burton, or you can go to postbygrant.wordpress.com for all of my written reviews. If you want to show me some support, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe to this channel, gave me a thumbs up, share this across social media, and left a comment, topic, criticism, questions of concern down below. Any support you give me will really be appreciated. Thank you. But enough of all that. Let's get on with the show, and we start each and every week with the news. Colin Stevens over at IGN says that Telltale Games is finally ditching its 15-year-old engine for the widely used Unity engine, starting with Stranger Things. It's about damn time. Telltale has used this engine for 15 years now, it's said, and it shows. This engine is buggy and glitchy. You can be playing a game, then all of a sudden you're talking to a character who's literally just floating eyeballs. It's very distracting and annoying. This day and age, you really don't want that in a game. And I get it, Telltale is a much smaller indie studio, so you're going to have problems, but the Unity engine is much more widely used, so hopefully the games will work and function a lot better than what they have. Hopefully they'll also have a bit of a graphical boost. They did get a graphical boost with Batman, and that was all great and all, but they still had the big technical difficulties. The next story is from Kevin Nezevic from GameSpot. GTA Online is getting nightclubs in a new July update. Players can open and own their own nightclubs, design, staff and promote their own clubs, and there are new DJs and music being added to the game. Grand Theft Auto 5 and Grand Theft Auto Online are really impressive. I mean, Grand Theft Auto 5 is now the best-selling media entertainment product ever. I think that includes film, television, music, and video game. No, well, of course it includes video games, but books is what I was going to say. And that's just amazing. Video games are now the best-selling product on the planet. And Grand Theft Auto Online, I tried to go on it this week a little bit, and wow, was it daunting. There were blips all over the place. I was getting notifications left, right, and center. I didn't have a clue what was going on. I think maybe the more I get into it, the more I'll have an understanding of that. Hopefully it was just like the first time that that's happened. My favorite Grand Theft Auto game is The Ballad of Gay Tony, if you class that as a game. It was released as DLC, so that might be why you don't class it as that. But I love that game. And the trailer for this featured a character in it that looked a lot like Tony Prince, who was Tony in The Ballad of Gay Tony. So this is really tempting for me. I might go back to Grand Theft Auto Online when this comes out. But yeah, I really like the sounds of this. If you're not into Grand Theft Auto Online now, then it might not be the right time. That's something I'm considering. But Grand Theft Auto Online is the reason Grand Theft Auto 5 is still selling really well. Each and every month, it's in like the top 10 charts. So it's doing something right. Right. The next story I don't have an image for, I missed it out by mistake, but it's Laura Kate Dale at Kotaku. Switch hackers are inserting pornography into Super Mario Odyssey. They got a hold of some software, and now in the balloon hunt mode, instead of player user images, it's pornography. And I can see why some people might get a snigger out of this. I can see why some people might think it's funny. And yeah, I suppose it is in a way, but you've got to remember, Super Mario Odyssey in particular, this is a game aimed at children. Why would you want to risk this happening? You don't want to be playing a game and then all of a sudden seeing really adult images all over the place. Nintendo is going to really crack the whip here, get on it and fix it. In fact, I saw a news story that I have not got on this, where I think they are already starting to address it. So yeah, just think twice before doing this. Was it really worth it? I don't think so. Now for this one. Laura Prudhomme over at IGN. A Halo TV series is in development at Showtime. It's executively produced by Steven Spielberg, and multiple episodes are going to be directed by Rupert Wyatt, who did Rise of the Planet of the Apes. It'll be 10 episodes, 10 hours long, live action, and it's going to start production in 2019. This has been a long time coming. They've been trying to make a Halo film, a Halo TV series for 14 years now. I think it was 14 years. And I think one of the problems they've been having is that this has to be like a big scale, big budget science fiction epic. But not necessarily, because I think they're going to avoid adapting the video games and they're going to do their own thing. I don't think Master Chief's going to be the main character in there. I don't think he can be, because let's face it, he would have to remove his helmet and he would have to speak quite a bit. And Master Chief, not that good a character. I'm not a big fan of Halo. Mechanically it's fine, just story and character wise it's a little on the weak side. Showtime is producing this, and Showtime it's up there with like HBO in terms of the quality productions that it does, but they're never quite as big budget as HBO. So this is a reasonable place to have Halo. I'm not sure how big they're going to go on special effects. Showtime tends to avoid that sort of thing. A lot of their shows are much more grounded in reality, so it'll be interesting to see how they do this. And maybe just TV is the best place for video game adaptations. I mean, look at Castlevania. Fairness, that came out as an anime show, but it was really good. Next up, Tom Phillips at Eurogamer. Amy Hennig has officially left EA back in January and has started her own independent studio. Her Star Wars game at EA is on the shelf, and she wants to have up to 15 people working at her studio, and she wants to try something in VR. If you don't know, Amy Hennig is the creator of the Uncharted series, very well respected and admired video game developer, and sadly she hasn't actually shipped a game where she was the lead developer on since Uncharted 3. She's had a lot of bad luck in recent years. I know she done one of the Battlefield games as I think a creative director. But yeah, a lot of bad luck. Her Star Wars game has basically been scrapped and it's now being reworked into, I think, a multiplayer game of some sort. And that's a shame because it sounded like it was going to be Uncharted meets Star Wars, which is just brilliant. It's what I want. And as for her new studio, it's an indie studio with only 15 people. You're not going to get big single player experiences akin to Uncharted from the studio. You might still get big single player experiences. They're just going to be on a much smaller budget scale. And VR, yeah, I'm fine with that. Dabble in VR, see what you come out with. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I went through my top E3 2018 moments, and I briefly mentioned that I had some disappointments. So I thought this week I'm going to elaborate on that and tell you what my big disappointments were. So I've got 5 games that were missing from E3 2018, and I was really disappointed by that. Starting with Splinter Cell. Splinter Cell Blacklist came out in 2013, and it's one of my favorite games of all time. I love this game. Yeah, Michael Ironside was recast, it turns out because of health issues, but the new voice actor wasn't bad, he just was a little forgettable, that's all. And the game done reasonably well. I don't think it done as well as they wanted it to, but it done well enough. Critically, it was really well received, and when the game came out, someone over at Ubisoft actually said Sam will be back. And it was suggested that they were already working on a sequel, which was great. I was really eager, I couldn't wait for it. But that was in 2013. It's 2018 now, and Michael Ironside has returned to the role of Sam Fisher in a piece of DLC for Ghost Recon Wildlands, one of the biggest games of the past year. And a lot of people were like, oh, he's back. Is this him somewhat promoting and gearing up for a new Splinter Cell game? I thought it was. A lot of other people thought it was. Hell, I thought Splinter Cell was going to be at E3 2017, and it wasn't even at this E3. Before E3 this year, Walmart leaked a big list of games, and one of the games on there was Splinter Cell. A lot of the other games on that list, turns out they were spot on. Rage, for example. But no Splinter Cell, don't know where it is. Is it coming? I don't know. People over at Ubisoft have said that they're thinking of ways to actually start developing a new Splinter Cell, but if this game isn't actually in development, that means it's at least 2-3 years out already. So by the time this game comes out, it might as well just be a reboot of the whole franchise, because that's a huge gap between games. And yeah, I'm a little worried about this franchise now. Hopefully it'll be out next year though, or hopefully it'll at least be revealed next year. Next up, Shenmue III. The first two Shenmue games are really dated now. I played the second one when it first came out and I really liked it, but you go back to it now, you can just look at clips on YouTube, or they are releasing a remastered version sometime this year, I think. But you go back to it now and the dialogue is just really cheesy, the animations are blocky and stiff, but this was very much one of the inspirations for open world games. A lot of side quests. If you look at the Yakuza games now, that's basically what Shenmue was doing before. And some of the cheesy dialogue was like, one of the first lines of the second game was, "I'm looking for some sailors." And it just came across as really weird and creepy. Like seriously, look it up and listen to some of the dialogue, it's really bad. So hopefully Shenmue 3, which we know is in development, it was on Kickstarter, it got a huge response and following, so hopefully it's learned from the mistakes of the past, hopefully it's actually a bit more modern in its handling of dialogue and characters. This week the PC specs for Shenmue 3 came out, and it turns out it's bigger than I think The Witcher 3 and some other game I can't remember, but this is a huge game it seems. And we still haven't seen gameplay. Why is that? The game was originally meant to come out this year I think, but got delayed, so maybe it's coming out next year. Why haven't we seen anything except little screenshots of this? And even the screenshots, it looks like a game that was developed on Kickstarter, alright. And yeah, I'm a little worried about this game. Next up, the Avengers Project. We know this game's in development. It was announced last year at E3 with a teaser trailer, and it's probably really early in development. I reckon the teaser trailer was literally just put together at the last minute because they had this big announcement and they wanted to show it to the world. But it's being developed at Square Enix by multiple studios, and I think the reason it wasn't at E3 this year is simply because they have nothing to show yet. But it would have been nice to have seen another teaser like the one we saw last year, confirming some of the characters, maybe a setting, I don't know, a little voiceover perhaps. The one thing is that the studios involved in making this game are very busy. So Crystal Dynamics is working on this game. They've previously worked on the Tomb Raider games. I'm sure they've been pitching in on Shadow of the Tomb Raider as well. But my question is this: why would they tease it last year as this huge thing and then not have anything this year? It just seems a little odd. Why not do the teaser this year, then a big reveal next year, instead of missing out a year altogether and not telling anyone what's going on? So maybe the teaser last year was a little premature. Although we did already know before the teaser that the game was being made. Here's the big one. Rocksteady Games. Everyone was anticipating what's Rocksteady Games up to. If you don't know, Rocksteady Games is the developer of the Batman Arkham series, the 3 main Batman Arkham games. Although Arkham Origins, a good game. It's got a few problems, but it is a good game. We know they're working on something. It's rumored to be something Warner Brothers related. Superman is the big rumor. There's also some thinking maybe Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I don't think they have the license for that. And it's been a while since we saw them. the last game they released was Batman Arkham VR, which was good, but it was made very clear that that was a small section of Rocksteady Games working on that game, while the rest of the studio was working on whatever this game is. So we still don't know what this game is. We don't know when it's coming out, but the Game Awards are coming up later this year. That could be a place where they reveal it. Otherwise, I think we're waiting until next year before we get another announcement. The final game is Yoshi. Now, Yoshi was scheduled to be released this year, but it got delayed to 2019. I've seen some screenshots and a little footage, and it looks interesting. It's not one of my most anticipated games. The reason I put it on this list is because I just assumed it would be at E3. This game must be well into development, and I think the reason they didn't put it on here is because Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was going to be the big showstopper this year, and they didn't want Yoshi to get mixed in with the rest. So we'll probably see Yoshi at a Nintendo Direct later this year, in time for its release in probably early 2019. Moving on to reviews now. I played one game this week, and that was The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit. This is a prequel to the next season of Life is Strange. I played the original Life is Strange a little bit. It's fine, it wasn't really for me. The story was a little iffy in places. I never played the prequel series to that, which was Life is Strange Before the Storm. But this game, The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit, was released this week and it's completely free, so you've got no excuses. Go and get this game. It's actually pretty good. It took me about an hour, maybe a little more, but you can go back and there's tons of replayability. There's a lot of emotional moments in this game. The story is hitting on some pretty hard topics. I'm not going to say what those are, but one of the quests in this little game is a treasure hunt, and I was doing the treasure hunt, and then all of a sudden I actually get to the treasure, and wow, just got a huge gut punch there, because quite emotional and surprising what that was. There's some great voice acting in here, but the animations are a little stiff. They look like toy figures, so they're literally doing like ventriloquist speaking, it seems, and hopefully that's something they address in the next season of Life is Strange. I'm not sure. I can't really remember if it was that big an issue in the past two games, but this is basically an interactive story, very much in the style of Telltale Games and Quantic Dream. But compared to those games, in Quantic Dream you have commands like push the right analog stick here, and you're constantly doing things, interacting with the environment, and you're making conversational options. In Telltale, it's a little similar. There's like quick time events and so on in that game. But in this one, all you're ever doing is moving around the environment and clicking buttons to make choices. It's much more simplistic compared to those games, and when I was playing the game, I was just like, there were huge moments where I was just sitting there doing nothing. It was a little boring at times, a little frustrating, because I just wanted to be like in the game. And that resulted in some slow segments, which weren't very great. But this is a free-to-play game. You can download it now. I do recommend it. It's a good story, great characters, very likable characters, good voice acting. It's just some of the animations were a little stiff and emotionless, but visually the game is actually pretty good looking. And yeah, I do recommend it. And that's all I've got this week. I hope you liked it. If you haven't, sorry. I'm Grant Burton. This is Games with Grant. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @the_GrantBurton, or you can go to thoughtsbygrant.wordpress.com to find out all of my written reviews. If you liked what you saw, I'd appreciate it if you subscribed. Give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment, question, concern, topic down below. I'll get back to it as soon as I can. Share this across social media. If you didn't like it, maybe tell a friend about it who might. It's not all about you. So until next time, I'm Grant Burton, and I'm out.